What's going on, guys? It's your boy Panda here, and welcome back to the channel. And honestly, I had said, hey, I need something to fill my void from the time of the end of Modern Warfare 2, thank God, until the release of Modern Warfare 3 and the campaign early access and everything that's coming later in this week. And the gods above said, hey, here's the Finals Open Beta, which is a game that I've played before. I played it in March of last year, so it was something that I played once before, and I had an experience with, and honestly, it was kind of fun, very sweaty. It was just something that I never thought I'd pick up again, and once the Open Beta was here, and, I had time to actually try it out and everything, I decided, hey, let's play the finals, and I've put a lot of hours into it, and I feel like I can finally give my true consensus on what I think is good, what I think is bad, and what I think is ugly, and that's something we do here a lot on the channel. But first things first, I have to say, the finals is the most unique game I think I've ever played. Before we go any further, though, if you guys want to stay up to date with all things gaming when it comes to Call of Duty, maybe the finals, X-Defiant, anything like that, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. It means the world to me. We upload almost every single day here on the channel. So, enjoy the video, boys. Let's start out with what is the finals. The finals is a trio-style game, whether it's 3 teams of 3 facing off or 4 teams of 3. There are different styles, but the main objective is to grab the cash, secure the cash, and earn cash throughout the game. The most cash at the end wins the game. There's 2 different modes, the Bank It mode and the original mode. I didn't play a lot of the original mode, so a lot of this will be tailored towards the Bank It mode because I found that to be truly more fun, and we'll talk about that in the good, bad, and the ugly section. But overall, the aspect of the game is a game show first-person shooter that's going to be free to play, and honestly, it's a unique experience. It's got very crazy vertical movement. It's got very insane movement around the map. The guns are all unique in the way they work. There's a class system, and honestly, there's the small, medium, and large. I played a lot as the small and the medium. Kind of a couple games as a large, like a tank, basically. I don't play tanks in any other game, so not something that's my play style, but overall, all 3 of them felt fun and unique. So starting out in the good category, one of the things that I think could be considered great and the best overall thing of the finals to me was the movement, verticality, and just the ability to traverse the map. Honestly, it's one of the coolest things I've ever witnessed, and in a video game, it was fluid. It was not like anything felt clunky, whether it was the grappling hook, the zip lines you could use around the map, the bounce pad, things like that. Everything felt really good, and it was something that is unique to itself. It's something we don't see in games like that. Movement's something we occasionally see inside of video games, but nothing like that. That was something that it's high, fast, fluid-paced movement. Going alongside that, that's something that's just, if you have this scale, if you're looking at it, you have great here and you have good here. I put it right between the two in like the great to goodish, It is the destructive environment. And the destructive environment is cool as hell. As someone who grew up playing COD and Battlefield always separated itself because of its fully destructive environment. And to see that come into a game that's futuristic and has movement like this was something that was super exciting. I found myself using that to my advantage all the time, and it makes for some chaotic, crazy moments inside the game. So I gotta tip my hat over to the guys that are making this game because that destructive environment worked out really well. And rounding out the good category, I have to say the overall class system, the loadouts, the ability to select your character as a small, medium, large to your playstyle, that overall feel was super good. Now, we're going to get into something in a little bit in the bad and the ugly about inconsistencies, but that is something to talk about later. But when it came to the overall just feel of how they built the class systems for the tank, the medium, and the small, it all just balanced well. The guns felt good. The only gun that truly felt bad to me or was overpowered in a sense was the suppressed pistol for the small character, but honestly, you kind of need a more broken weapon when you have a lower health. So I understand kind of the balancing issue there, but overall, it was a good experience. So let's go into the bad, and this is one thing that could change upon launch, but I'm going to put it at the top of the bad and right below the good because there were some aspects that were decent. It's the game modes. Bank It was probably the best game mode that we played. I had so much fun being able to just run around, slay, collect coins, deposit them, and it felt for very strenuous and stressful situations that were fun. And honestly, the first mode, whatever, I don't know what it's called. We played it twice. It was not fun to me. It was just not something that I found interesting. I don't know what it was. It's not that drastically different than the Bank It mode, but I just didn't find it as unique or as fun as Bank It, where Bank It overall was just this very cool, fun mode. And if you guys didn't play Bank It or don't know what that is, the objective was 4 teams of 3 competing to get to $40,000 first, and kills dropped coins as well as the vaults that spawned on the map, but the catch was you had to deposit them. So it was like high-octane crazy gameplay, and you could collect coins and keep going, and you would get a blue streak behind you showing off where you were on the map, kind of like a King of the Hill situation, but it was just something that was so unique and fun that it was probably teetering on the good but teetering on the bad because it just had no other modes to back it up with. Like, I'd put Bank It on its own in the good and the rest of the modes on their own in the bad, but I wanted to combine them together because it just seems to be fair. So another one that'll go into the bad is the spawn system. I didn't really understand the spawn system when it came to, like, if you had a teammate alive and you spawned on your teammate in a general location, which I know it increases the amount of engagements, but I found there were times I would go to try to get a team wipe, and they would get their last guy to spawn in, and then they'd spawn right there in the middle of the fight, and I don't know, that's just kind of odd to me. I don't know, maybe if they're just trying to get that interaction between players right away, they want that fast engagement. I get that they're doing it, but for me personally, I didn't enjoy that too much. Another one that I'll go down the road on is the maps. I know I said I love the verticality, the movement, and all that stuff, but the maps, the ambient day and night cycles are cool, but something that I just don't like, and like I said, this review is going to be my review on the game. You could have a whole different feeling about ambient feelings. Like, I don't mind a day and a night cycle. I just didn't like the ambient fog and the weather changing. The dynamic weather was just, it's whatever. It's something that it's in games, it's fun, it's cool, but it's just not something I enjoy inside of a game. I would like to see the day and night cycle stay, but maybe turned on the visual fog and stuff a little bit, which I'm going to be honest, I didn't touch my graphic settings. If I was able to do that, I'm just ignorant and didn't do it. But that's going to be in my bad category because of that. So now we're teetering on the bad and the ugly, and it can get kind of dirty here when it comes to those two, because one of the ones that I talked about earlier, inconsistencies. Hit reg inconsistencies seem to be something that were there. And when I say that, I mean, like, when you're in a gunfight, there were so many times that one gunfight felt completely different than another, and it didn't seem like things were doing anything different. Like, my aim was probably no different when it came to the gunfight. I just don't know why it felt so inconsistent. And honestly, that could be just a server-side thing. It could be a netcode thing, and we just don't know about that yet because they haven't released it. But there were so many inconsistencies in the damage profiles between weapons, and honestly, I'll put this in the ugly more than the bad because it was a turnoff for the game. It was not fun to be able to run around and fry people in one game, and then the next lobby was just, I'm getting crapped on while doing the same exact thing, getting the same amount of hit markers, and just counting down that kind of stuff made no sense to me. So inconsistencies could be the death of a game, and honestly, the inconsistencies in the gunplay were a little frustrating. Something that's teetering on the ugly and bad is the 3-stack kind of thing of sweaty kids holding hands with a healer and probably playing the game the way it's intended to be played. But honestly, for someone who's in a solo experience, that's going to be something that's extremely frustrating and a big turnoff, and it's probably going to push them away from the game. So the ability to have like this 3-stack thing, I don't know. It's the way the game's meant to be played, I get that, but a lot of players aren't going to want to play it. If you're playing as a medium or small build, the odds of you killing all three of those people are 0. You're most likely 99.9% of the time going to lose that gunfight, and it just kind of sucks for someone who isn't playing in a party. So one of the really uglies, I'll put this in very ugly, was the console and controller experience on this game. Not only from my own perspective on controller, but from feedback from people in my comments section talking about the controller issues and the console issues. The game truly feels like it's built for PC. It doesn't feel like it's built for console, and that's something that if you're going to have this cross-platform, yes, you can turn off crossplay, but if you're going to have this cross-platform genre of a game where you want it to be able to be played with friends on PC and friends on console and so on and so forth, you need to have something that balances it out to make it feel at least the same. And from what I was told, the console feel of the game was terrible. Now, give them credit, this is their first ever console playtest, so things could definitely change. It could have been server-side issues. It could be that the game build isn't ported over completely to console, whatever it might be. But in an in-depth review, I have to admit, trying to play even on controller on PC was a horrible experience. The controller felt gross, it felt delayed, the movement felt weird. There were so many settings that I didn't want to toy with. I would have rather just had a traditional turn vibration off, give me a horizontal vertical sensitivity, and then give me some ADS sensitivities, and we'll move from there. It was something that to me was a bit of a turn-off, and I ended up playing keyboard and mouse, where that's something I don't usually do. I'm like a controller player, but I ended up having fun with it no matter what. But if you're someone who strictly is on console and you're trying to use a controller, you're going to be in for a nightmare in the beginning of this game so far. You're going to be at a disadvantage. The game is very precision and precise aim kind of game, and honestly, if you're playing on controller, it's bad. This ugly could just turn out to be fixed when the game launches, but it's something that I have to address because as someone who talks to a lot of people in my comment section about games, there was no entry for people. Like, there's a tutorial in the game, but this is something where, like, this game is advanced. It's an advanced skill gap style game. The movement, the precision aim, all that is going to come into factor if you're going to be really good at this game and elite at this game, or if you're going to be really bad at this game. And there's no like mode for people to get used to it. So having a team deathmatch or something like that would benefit a game like this because players who are new to the game could hop in, learn the gunplay, learn the recoil patterns, learn the movement without having to worry about the objective at hand when it came to getting cash and stuff like that. There were a lot of people that feel like they were thrown to the wolves jumping in, playing against players who have played in previous playtests and kind of just getting eaten alive because they didn't know what they were doing. And this issue happened with Hyperscape. Hyperscape grew such a niche community that became elite at that game. And the skill gap was drastic for Hyperscape. So you were either really, really good at that game or you sucked because you couldn't have the time to sink into it. And there was no follow-up mode that you could just go play and have fun in. And honestly, it's one of those things in this game that just was frustrating, I feel like, for a lot of people. For someone like me, I play video games all the time. It's literally what I do here on the channel. I go and play, and we'll spend hours in them. So I learned them over time. But for someone who just picked up the finals and only can play for an hour or two a day, that's got to be very infuriating that you're not able to learn the game as quickly because you're being thrown to the wolves and not knowing what's going on. The overall consensus, I'll say, of the finals, it's a unique, fun experience. It's something we've never seen before, and it could have a longevity if done right. But the biggest gripe I had about the game is tailored towards a party experience. Now, if you're a solo player, you're not going to most likely have fun on this game. You're probably going to be a little turned off because you don't have friends to play it with, because it's very communicated, it's very friend-oriented, it's very, you have to play with people in a sense. I found myself when I played with friends having way more fun than if I tried to play solo, because just random filling was not something that was enjoyable at all, and you guys might have felt the same way. I don't know if you did, but for me, that's just kind of how I felt. So that's kind of what we have for the finals beta, and please, 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 in the comment section below, let me know what you thought of the finals beta. This is the point of these good, bad, and ugly reviews, is as a community, we are to discuss what we played and kind of give each other a consensus on whether this game is fun or not. It's a free-to-play game, so you don't have to buy it to know if it's good, but it's good to hear people's feedback, the issues they had, what they enjoyed, what they didn't enjoy. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Turn on those post notification bells so you guys never miss an upload. I love you guys to death, and I will see you guys this week in the campaign early access for Modern Warfare 3, which I am so excited for. Until then, guys, deuces, boys.